We're very lucky to be joined today by Rob Key, the new Managing Director of England Cricket. Thanks very much for joining us.
You were asking what his title was, Phil.
MD, Managing Director.
Yeah, that's right.
What does that actually mean, Keezy?
Well, it just means you're the managing director. So I'm in charge, I suppose, of England men's cricket. So that's from pathway to the science and medicine to not coaching, not domestic cricket. That's someone else's remit, but pretty much everything with England men.
Yeah. And I see you come in and you've got a little rucksack.
I have.
Don't you need a suit briefcase or something?
No, I'm trying so hard to stay away from the blazers, the suit, all of that, the tracksuits. And what I've got in there is I've got a laptop.
Lovely.
And an iPad.
Lovely.
And a notebook.
That's all you need.
Exactly.
So you've
So you need to be
you've
an
got
MD.
two then. You've got the iPad and the laptop.
Yeah, and I've got the pen thing so that I can actually draw and make notes on my iPad as well. It's unbelievable. We were actually scoring Kaluki with the kids and we use it for that at the moment. That's the most.
So in your role now, you've only been in the job a few weeks. What are you drawing on an iPad?
No, so what I'm doing, my role actually at the moment, it was quite, the real job hadn't really started, or it will probably start once the coaches are in. And the cricket actually starts, and then your job is, as it says, managing director. Your job is to manage people, basically. It's not. I'm not very good. I've got no techie skills. I've got no, I'm not a coach. I'm not involved in science and medicine.
Well,
and
you was a
things
player,
like that.
Rob. You was a player.
Exactly. So your job is to manage, to hire the best people, and then manage them to the best that you can. And my first bit was to find a captain.
Yeah.
So then we got Ben Stokes.
Straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward.
Like the old school first 11. Who's going to be picked the most? That's going to be Ben.
Yeah, so Ben ended up as that man. He's been very good, actually.
Yeah.
Even though he hasn't done it a lot, which a lot of people haven't done, have they? When they become a captain of England, ironically, it's something they've never done a lot of, actually being a captain.
No.
Then it was trying to find out who the coach was going to be, and what we worked out was that, like, say, for instance, we needed two coaches. We needed to split it between red and white ball. Because, for example, the schedule now is getting to a point where you can't do both. So we'll have two test matches against New Zealand. Then straight away, the white ball side will fly to Holland. They'll have 3 ODIs. And then as soon as that finishes, then they're back for a test for the third test match. And that gets more and more like that throughout the next couple of years. There's a few series that are COVID catch-ups. So then it was a bit like doing this, where you're not in a studio, but you're basically, something that I've done for the last, 10 years as a broadcaster, is I'm interviewing people all the time. So I was sitting there on Zoom calls or Teams meets, whatever you call them, with the coaches, and you're trying to work out who the best was, or who the best person is.
How do you do that, Keezy? What's your sort of remit for sort of like finding who the best? Because obviously you went for Brendan McCullum, a little bit out the box, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit left field. I think it's a cracker, by the way. I think, because I know Brendan and he is a top man. How did you come to that conclusion?
Well, so what you do is there's a whole process. So you have to make sure you get a job description, you get the advert out, and you make sure you then have people who apply for it. And like all jobs, really, you have other people that you think, they'd be pretty good for this job. So you make a few inquiries and see if they fancy going for the job. And for the red ball job in particular, there were lots of people that actually wanted to do that job. And a lot of the time with these things, in that sort of a position, people, they don't necessarily want to go through the process, but they want to get the job.
Right.
So I think there was a lot of people that were very interested in that role. And we ended up with a really good field in that. More people, which I didn't think was going to happen, actually. More people were interested in the red ball job than there were the white ball. The white ball didn't really turn people on as much as the red ball. So all of the names that you can think of, which the papers, every day I was reading about who I was speaking to in the papers, and there was a different, there's some were right and some were wrong. And you just sit around and you do this. You just chat with them. I wasn't one for all the PowerPoints and that. I found them incredibly boring. In fact, the best PowerPoints were the dullest ones. And you just try and...
Who produced the dullest ones?
I'm not going to go into that. But you saw,
who produced the... I suppose you
I'm
don't
not
want to
going
name
to start
names.
slamming
What I want to know
people.
from you, Keezy, you're on that panel, you're asking questions.
Yeah.
What is the question that you ask?
No, you see, my job, I suppose, with it, what I wanted to know was whether their philosophy aligned with what I thought, really, which was the most important thing, because then in that's got to then...
corporate, that. It's a little bit corporate.
I don't think philosophy is. Is philosophy corporate? I've heard about, I never said KPIs and all these things I was hearing about when I got in the job and didn't know. I had to Google some of the stuff that was going on. But you just wanted to make sure that they saw the world and the game in the way that you did, in a way, and the way that they felt that they could take the team forward. You wanted to know you were aligned on that. You can't have, and it's got to be the same with the captain, the coach, and everyone in the system has to be, sort of the vision has to be one that you're all pushing for the same thing.
Rob, you're talking about the vision, and we'll get into the coach and the captain a bit, but you were talking about the fact that you were a broadcaster. You obviously had a successful career as a pundit. So just starting at the beginning, why did you want this job? What was it about this job that appealed to you?
Well, I suppose a bit like why people went for the Red Bull job as coaches, really. So how it happened, I was doing vodcasts with Nasser, Ath and Wardy, and you know what it's like, what you do. You're always sitting around trying to work out, what would you do? What's gone wrong? How would you change it? How would you try and do this? And then I got a text, I think, from Straussy about saying, would you consider going for that job? I said, I could be interested, mate. Because everything that I loved about being a broadcaster is it's the best job in the world in a lot of ways. It's a great life, everything you get, but you're not making that much of a difference. There's the odd moment when you might be, it might have been Mikey and Ebony, stuff like that, where you're making a difference. But actually, as a broadcaster on cricket, you're just giving your opinion. You're saying when things are good, you're saying they're good, and when they're bad, you're saying they're bad, and you're sort of trading it backwards and forwards all the time. Whereas this was like, right, okay, now you've got a chance to actually see if you're talking rubbish or not.
Yeah, responsibility.
And look, I felt, it's something that as much as I'm busy now, it's quite a good type of work. It's quite a good type of busy. It's quite a good type of stress where you actually feel like you're doing something meaningful. And hopefully you're making a difference for a good thing, whereas we'll find out if I'm right or wrong in the meantime.
There's a lot being made of the fact that there's a bit of a power vacuum at the ECB at the moment.
Yeah.
Is that a negative, or is it in some ways a positive? It allows you to set your agenda, maybe get a bit more of a cricket-first agenda before the suits turn up.
Well, no, at the moment, it's all I can really speak from is my own experience, really, and it's been great working there because I've had support on everything so far.
Right.
Whether it was Brendan McCullum, Matthew Mott, whatever. All we've had really is the ECB and the people, Tom Harrison in particular, have been right. We want to make sure, and Test cricket as well has been the focus for them. And it's like, right, okay, your job is to try and get Test cricket back to where it was. When Vaughany was a captain, which hasn't been that many times in English history actually, where English cricket in Test cricket has been right up there. And I've had nothing but support in that. And it's been interesting because you go into the ECB and you like being a broadcaster and you have a view of the ECB, like people say it's very corporate, all of that. Mm-hmm. But actually, you sit around in there and all they're trying to do is take cricket forward. Mm. And that's been the thing. They're not trying to ruin cricket. Everything they talk about is participation, is getting people inspired by the game, pushing the England teams forward. Girls, boys, everyone really, and it's a very noble cause and they've been battered a little bit and they've been hammered quite a lot, but actually when you look at it, cricket's in a very good place because of what happened in the Ashes. We start to think, cricket's in a real, we've got a real downer on English cricket. Actually, English cricket's in a great spot at the moment. Players are having a great lifestyle, they're having a great time. They haven't performed as well as they wanted to do in Test match cricket, but they've had a horrific couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's a very positive place, and it's a place where their vision is something that's very noble.
So how are you going to take that forward then, Rob? Because at the moment we are at the bottom.
We've won one in 17 Test matches.
But that's exactly, what it's like. I mean, you can have your visions, you can have all your views and all of that. You can have your coaches, whoever they are. It's about the players. And our job, and what I think is, I think there's good players in England.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Those young batsmen that you've seen, and there's a list of them now coming out, especially for that middle order. And the job of the coaches and our job is to get the best out of them now. There's no way that they've been playing to the best of their ability. Now, that might be because they've been in these bubbles and they've spent more time worrying about, where they can eat breakfast and can they do this and do they have to wear a mask here and can they use the pool and is it going to be 14 days hard quarantine or is it going to be, you're allowed out your room for 10 days. Can we make that 5 and then maybe go into the gym? All that. Yeah. That's been their life for the last 2 years.
Well, that's been the same for every team.
Yeah, but they haven't played anywhere near as much. I mean, you can say it's been the same for every single team, but you look at someone like Australia, and this might not be exactly right, Australia have played something like 70 days cricket in the last year. England played 170. They play more than anyone else. They've done more to keep the game going and alive than anyone else. So to say it's been the same for every team is just not true. Yeah, I think it's fair to say India obviously play a lot as well, but there is nobody in the world of cricket that has played more cricket than that England team, that has done more time in hard bubbles than the England team. I mean, you look at the way the Aussies have done it. Yeah, okay, they're in the World T20, and then they went into their own bubble, but they are in their own country at home. So there's no one really that's done anything like what that England team.
But does that suggest that the schedule was untenable?
No, it just means that that's what it is at the moment, and that COVID is an absolutely shocking time that everyone's had.
Yeah.
You know, not just cricketers, there's everyone that's made sacrifices throughout however long. You know, we've had it pretty easy. When I was a broadcaster, you know, we turn up and then we get out the bubble and I'd go and play golf and do whatever. These boys haven't been able to do it. And when they were playing, so let's say they're going into a bubble in England, wherever it was.
More golf they need.
Well, exactly, that's the answer. You see, what you do well, you sort of just drag the tone up a little bit from the negativity, don't they? But actually, but even they would have 4 or 5 days where they weren't allowed out of their house, really. So I don't agree that.
But the reality, Rob, let's get to the reality. The reality of we can say the bubbles it's been hard for England. We can give them all that excuse.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter, in the last 6 years, we've had one player that's debuted that's averaged over 30.
Yeah.
And that's Rory Burns. Why?
Well, that I think I said it goes back to a whole system at the moment that's not producing the players. I think we've got the talent. We've got to somehow make sure they can deliver at that level, which we haven't done, as the batting suggests. And then we end up in a huge debate, if you want to go down its road, about county cricket, pitches, all that type of thing. I have ended up, my biggest bugbear, you can change the schedule, you can change the structure of county cricket, all those things. If you keep playing on those pitches that they did for the last however many years, where the medium pacers, look, they were as you know, they were the bane of my life, these guys, who would just turn up at 70 mile an hour, dob it around and hit me in the shin.
Are you bagging Darren Stevens? You are, aren't you?
Listen, look,
I know he's your pal.
But this is the point.
Love Darren Stevens.
Yeah, Steve-O's been unbelievable, but you can't, it's just been too much. It's just been too one-sided, county cricket. That's why there's no spinners. And I did an article, I got in trouble in 2008, because we got on one of these pitches where it was nibbling around, and I can't remember. It was over in 2 days, the game, something like that, up at Durham. And I ended up in a pitch pan. They told me there's nothing wrong with the pitch. I said, what do you mean there's nothing wrong with the pitch? I said, look, I might not be I might be a very average player, but the Australians haven't been able to get Chanderpul out in 3 test matches that he's just played. He didn't get past 5 in the pitch we've just played on. Yeah, but what my point is with that, if you don't replicate the conditions you get in Test cricket, you end up with no spinners, no fast bowlers. You know, you look now, we've got a load of injuries, which will be a load of different reasons, but part of it will be probably because they're now starting to play 4-day games of cricket, not something that's over in 2 and a bit days. Yeah. You know, that's so crucial to English cricket that people learn to play 4-day cricket.
Did the ECB send a message before the season? Because it's been very evident watching county cricket. It's been great to see actually hundreds scored. Yeah, bowlers toil.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the 4th day. Because was it a message sent by the ECB before the season? Come on, let's get better pitches. I hear the Duke ball's not doing quite as much. Whether that's just the look of the draw, whatever it may be. I don't know how to make cricket balls, but they're saying it's just the look of the draw. Has there been a message sent from the ECB? Let's get better pitches and let's get a ball that doesn't do quite as much.
No, well, I was there. So one of the early meetings I had was with all the chief execs, the county chief executives, and so I was new into the job. So this was all before the season had started, pretty much when I came into this position. And there's been no direct message to the counties or anyone, but there's been obviously a lot of talk about it. So I think actually at the moment it's just a happy coincidence. You know, Brody has said the ball's like plasticine. Yeah. It's like bowling with plasticine or something. He's got great little sound bites. He'd make a good broadcaster, Brody, at some point. But so there's been a time where the balls, whether they've gone soft, stuff like that, but whether it's the way, I don't know why it's happened, but don't you just think, I mean, you know better than anyone, isn't it better? You're a spinner as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing spinners bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, how can it be good that a spinner never gets to bowl?
My theory has been for a long time is, and I'm Darren Stevens, we've got to nullify the 75 mile an hour seam bowler. We have to make sure that those overs are being bowled either by someone bowling over 82 or a
if
spinner.
they're fit.
And that's the point. You're not going to stay fit unless you bowl for 4 days continuously.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of the old school. The way to get fit for bowling is by bowling,
Yeah.
not by bowling less.
Yeah.
So somehow that system has to be created, which I think it has been so far in the county system this season. Now, I'm interested in the high performance group that's been created. David Brailsford, done incredible with Sky Cycling. Dan Ashworth's done incredible in football. I know yourselves on it, Marcus North, some others that are on that panel. What is that going to look like, and what does it look like to you going forward?
Do you know what? We've had a couple of meetings, and I'm not sure. The meetings so far have been very interesting, but it's been setting up the debate, really. So because you've got a load of people from lots of other sports, they want to get in, like the people you said, and find out how they see high performance. And actually, it's been just listening and them trying to work out and find out. You think how complicated our system is, you know, whether it's county cricket, England cricket, how it all works. You've got the votes that you need in county cricket, all these things. So a lot of it so far has been setting up with these guys to sort of explain how it works and where we're at. So they can then try and formulate and try and work it into, because you can have all the plans in the world, can't you? You can have all the high performance ideas you want, and in cycling we might do this and this we might do that. Well, we have a different system, and we have to have something. There's no point spending however long coming up with ideas that just aren't going to be feasible.
What does it look like? What does cricket... So you've got, I don't know how long your contract is. I don't know if it's a rolling contract. In 4 years' time, we'll sit you back on the podcast. Welcome to the club anyway, Vaughany and Tuffers Cricket Club. First pick, Phil?
Yeah, first pick. We haven't got any caps at the moment, mate, but we'll get one too.
They're on order, but we'll send you one.
They are coming. In 4 years, say, I know Baz McCullum's got a 4-year deal, Matthew Mott's got a 4-year deal. What will the game look like in terms of domestically? We know international cricket's going to be jam-packed.
Yeah.
They're not going to play any less.
Correct.
But domestically, how's the game going to look?
Do you know what? I have no idea. At this point in time, I have no idea what it's going to be and how it's going to go, because it might be less 4-day cricket, which I think might be the bet that you could go on. But I don't know that. We haven't got to that point. I did a thing for Sky when I said how I would have tried to sort out the schedule of county cricket, which is what we're talking about a little bit, really. But I don't know where they're going to come. I have no idea how David Brailsford, people like that, Dan Ashworth, are going to see county cricket and what they're going to think needs to happen. You know, and the same with English cricket, the England cricket team. You know, I couldn't tell you now where it's going to get to. We haven't had that debate, that discussion. You know, things like the 100, I think, are important. I know it's a real contentious issue, but what I don't think is that this sort of rhetoric we have in the country at the moment about for one thing to succeed, the other one's got to fail. I personally don't agree with that. I think we can have it all in English cricket. We just have to be smart about how we do it. What it looks like physically, I couldn't tell you. But
so Rob, is that a step-by-step process? You haven't got like a blueprint for it. It's just we'll take it step by step. You know,
I think in that high performance review it would do, because it's not actually about Keezy, and it's not my remit actually to sort county cricket and to say this is what we're going to do. I'm part of that high performance review, and then you do have the ECB or the counties are the ones really deciding on their own future at times. So how it all looks, I couldn't tell you. How I would do it, as I said on the Sky vodcast, I would have 10 games of championship cricket. I think you basically added in a month of the season with a competition. So you've added in a month's worth of cricket. So you've got to lose a month's worth of cricket. So you have, 14 games. You go down to 10 games, and you end up with 10 high-quality games. How that looks, I couldn't tell you. You know, I had my thing where you have your 12 best teams and one below it and all that type of stuff. But whether that's how it's going to go, I couldn't tell you. That's why I don't think that would be a bad plan. 3 divisions, whatever. But you also don't
keep
know.
the 18 counties.
Well, I don't see how you get to a point where you don't, to be honest. So I have no issue. I think that you can, with 18 counties, we have produced good cricketers. We have produced really good players in the past. We've had a successful era of England's Test cricket. You know, we've produced the best white ball team we've probably ever had, and one of the best teams in the world, one of the greatest eras of England's white ball cricket.
But do you see the system, even when it's tweaked, I saw this statement that Andrew Strauss released the other day about the high performance, saying English cricket has been the number one Test men's team for 12 months in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
In that time, Australia have been number one for 170 months. So that is a huge gulf in terms of being at the top. This system clearly isn't producing what we think we're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
You know, but ultimately, if you want to be the best, radical changes probably need to happen. And radical probably means less games, maybe playing 5-day cricket in our preparation. You know, I'm always for change and difference. 4-day cricket, lights on, I'm all for that. But if it's that you stay at 5-day for Test match cricket, you know, why not play it in our domestic game as well?
But I don't see that as radical change, to be honest. That's adding an extra day to a game, and that's doing what I said, where you go down to less cricket. So I don't see that as an issue. And the only thing, as you know, I look at things, and I disagree slightly with Straussy, although he's right that we've been number one in the world probably for a very small period. I think the golden age really of England's Test side came under when you became captain.
That's why you're on the pod.
But you see,
just easy questions.
And what it was,
What a lovely chat, Rob Kears.
And what it was, and what you did bloody well actually, was the mentality of English cricket changed. And that was so important. You know, I look back and you talk about the mentality when you played Tuffers, you know. You tell me another side whose mentality, when they lost that first Test match at Lord's in 2005, would have turned around at Edgbaston and got 400 in a day and changed and flipped it. You know, we would have come in the past and gone, oh no, Warren McGrath, what are we going to do? And that mentality changed, but that all came from...
It did help that Glenn McGrath would stretch it off.
Yeah. But you
had a bit of fortune.
But you think about how that you lot all saw cricket in that era. We all had this influx of that Australian mentality come through from those great players, you know, the likes of Darren Lehman, Shane Warne, whoever. And there was a change. And for a long time, actually, I thought we were a bloody good
Is that
Test
what you
side.
want from the Test team in particular? That
Culture.
that ability to take an opposing side on? Is it all about being aggressive, or is it about being smart? Because I watched the Test team so close, and I actually think in the last few years they've been too aggressive. They've not played the Test match way for long enough. I always think in Test cricket you earn the right to be aggressive, but you have to have that foundation set first. I don't think this Test match team and this group has been good enough, mentally strong enough to create that foundation, and then you can go. Then you can be aggressive. You know, I don't think there's many. Maybe the Australian great side, they went aggressive from pretty much ball one because they were that good. There's not many other teams in the history of Test cricket being able to be aggressive from ball one.
It also, with this present sort of England team, you just feel that as soon as the pressure moments come on, that batting lineup goes to pieces.
But that's where, again, it's not about going out there and playing shots.
No.
It's actually about the mentality that you have, the way that you think helps your defence. I actually think if you look at it, yes, all right, you go, oh, they've played a shot outside off stump. That comes from indecisiveness. Not knowing when to leave the ball comes from being indecisive, from being negative. It's not about the way that you go out there and you look to just the one way of playing. When you speak to Brendan McCullum, and he just said it, we had the team talk this morning.
Oh,
I listened in on it. Yeah, and he's very clear actually about what Test cricket is for him. You know, it's about being able to soak up pressure as a batsman, being able to transfer pressure at the right time as a batsman by making good decisions all the time throughout and having the courage and the conviction to make those decisions throughout. So there are times when you've got to soak it up, but you have to be positive in your thinking to do that. You just leave the ball better, I think, when you're positive. You come out thinking, oh, no, you know, I don't want to play a shot here. And that's when indecision comes from. And England have been indecisive. So what you want is not someone to go out there, and this is where, you know, our way of playing now under the McCullum era is just to run down and smack the ball. No, that's not what it is at all. And then he's very clear as well on bowlers. Bowlers, you just look to take wickets. There's no sort of like, oh, we're going to try and control this rate, control the scoreboard, and that. No, your job is to take wickets. And then he's very simple again. It's like, with the ball, we look to take wickets, and we are able to adapt the plan accordingly to whatever that is. Pretty simple, and you chase the ball hard. Chase the ball hard in the field, which would have had me done.
I'm not sure about that.
To be fair, there's three of us here. There's three, and probably Ben who plays a bit of cricket on a Sunday afternoon. I think we need to move on from fielding.
Yes. So McCullum, you obviously a couple of big calls that you've made since you got the job.
Yeah.
Stokes was perhaps the obvious choice as captain. McCullum more of a left field choice. So what was it about him that appealed to you?
Well, when you sit down and you listen, and we had lots of chats, and you go through that process, what you realise is he's so much more than that thing that people think of, like, we're just going to go out there and look to be positive.
Just to be clear, did you approach him or he applied?
Yeah, I rang him and just said, "Do you fancy having a go at this?" And he was in his way.
Was that for the white ball or the red ball to start?
No. What we did at the start, actually, we just asked people if they were interested. And then we weren't going to limit people or put people into a bracket and say, right, he's only red ball, he's only white ball. We just wanted to say, are you interested in either job? And then it became clear, where with McCullum in particular, that it was like the red ball was the one that he was the most interested in. And then when you sit and chat with him, you realise, he's a bright bloke, this fella. And what I love about people like that, as you know him, Kat, is that he's so authentic to he's just who he is, really. He's bright. He's not going to be putting on a voice or anything like that. He's just who he is, and he's got conviction in how he sees the game. Those things I was saying there about how you play it, he has that. He's like, no, and you can almost, it's a bit like, and this is what I love, because I think when you go into interviews, you get people who try and interview and they try and say what they think you want to hear. He was a bit like, no, this is how I see it.
Did you get a bit of that?
I think you get a little bit of that throughout, yeah, really. And you get, it's interesting because you don't, where you really find out about people, I think, is when you speak to people who work with them. And so you ring up people and you say, oh, you've worked with so-and-so, what do you reckon? And they'll give you a good steer. That's where sometimes experience for a coach, everyone thinks, you need experience. Well, let me tell you, I reckon that kills some people. Because when you ring up everyone who's worked with them and they go, they're all right. And you go, okay, what's so-and-so like? Yeah, they're all right. They're not bad. So then you know that the chances are you're going to get someone who's all right. Yeah. He's not bad. But someone with a bit less experience, they might be great. They might be good. They might be, all right. They might be terrible. Yeah. But give me that bet, wouldn't you? I'd just much rather have someone who might be the next great coach than someone who's all right.